I ran out of cash within 6 months after resigning from my business, and then eventually started calling up my old managers and, hey guys, can you
take me back?
Can you take me back?
Okay.
And then I landed a contract, and then slowly but surely built from there. So
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now.
Start us off. So what is your business? What do you do today?
So my core business is garden and organics. We do tree felling, alien vegetation removal, grass cutting, that kind of thing so I call it, the umbrella for that is bulk infrastructure maintenance. But I've also launched my own craft beer, Northern Bru. Very exciting business. I think beer has always been my passion, and moved then from brewing my own beer at home and then just taking that a step up to the next level and on a more industrial scale. And yeah.
And so how long have you been doing this Northern Bru for? How long has it been around?
We were officially a year old in September this year. So we launched last year, September. We launched on Heritage Day in September.
Yeah,
2020.
That's quite cool.
Yeah.
And how long was it before the launch that you were preparing everything, getting, I'm guessing, logos going and getting things running?
Look, we were actually going to launch in April of 2020, but then COVID struck. So the whole concept, the production, etc., was already in place. So we were going to launch in April, which is my birthday month. Lockdown hit, and then we couldn't launch. So then, as soon as things opened up towards September, we just opened up and launched. It happened in a hurry because no one was sure, what's going to happen. But as soon as things opened up and alcohol could be sold again, then we launched.
It's difficult to release a beer brand if you can't even sell alcohol.
Exactly, that is challenges. But I think it created a lot of excitement around the brand. And a lot of people ask me, how did you find the experience launching a beer during all these lockdowns? But actually, people were just so excited and really wanted to try new things and get their hands on something that's exciting. And
of course, cool.
Yeah.
And so, how did you get things going with the company, or what were the beginning stages and things you needed to get started exactly?
Look, the beer is the main thing. So I think we had the beer down initially. The product development itself, or let's call it the brand development, was actually very exciting. On the box, those are all, so it's my brother, on the left, it's the master brewer, it's myself, and then Gareth.
That's so cool. I didn't notice that.
Initially we actually had, the concept was 4 glasses coming together to show that beer brings people together. Then Gareth, my partner, said, look, why don't we put people behind the glasses? Then we had these 4 random, just sort of cartoon guys. And then we sat and we looked at it and we said, look, why don't we just put ourselves there?
Yeah.
And then we got a few sketch artists to sketch us and then bring us onto the logo. So we were actually joking. We were looking at one of the initial, just the first mock-ups of the label, and we were laughing because it looked like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And then just how it evolved to where it is now. And there's a story to tell. All those guys are involved.
Yeah, each person has a part to play. It's not just random people on the logo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's exciting is during these startup phases, it's like we can act on decisions, so we can get feedback from the customer and implement it. For example, customers are complaining about the handle that's a bit, so in your hand, a hand can't really fit in there nicely, so it tears the box. So some customers are saying, look, it would be nice to see the product, so we're going to put a little window on the box. So
these little things.
And you don't need to go through a board and signatures. You can just call the box guy, listen, we need some changes, or, And even the recipe has also been refined. So we take customer feedback and we refine the recipe constantly. And I think we will still have minor tweaks and changes as time goes on.
And so just talking about, starting a new company, you always need to put something in, or generally you need to put something in. So what was the initial investment you needed to get started with Northern Bru?
Yeah. So you often, the mistake we often make is, I can't give you a number, but there's the core business that I actually used. I used the money or the profits from Garden and Organics to build Northern Bru.
Okay,
And
so like it fed into Northern Bru.
So what happens is that you'll find that I use the one company to do purchases, etc., just to get it off the ground. It's now reaching a point where it's more sustainable.
Running on its own.
Yeah. So call the investor is actually Garden and Organics into Northern Bru, and building it from there. And we started off quite small. We started off with 1,000 liter batches. Sold out next month again 1,000 liters, and then we quickly moved up to 2,000, and we are currently standing on between 3,000 and 4,000 liters a month.
And that's selling out every month?
That's selling out.
Okay.
We are also in selected tops. We're in selected market liquors, which is associated to fruit and veg and diamond liquors.
Yeah.
So we are on Uber Eats as well via market liquors.
Oh, really? So I can Uber Eats a box of beer?
The certain areas.
Okay.
Yeah, but
that's really cool.
that's and we're slowly but surely getting into more stores. We're doing our promotions. We're doing a lot of legwork at the moment, and a lot's going into marketing samples.
Yeah.
But we actually we initially thought 2 to 3 years to get this thing off the ground. But realistically, this brand itself will take about 5 years before it really turns a profit.
Yeah. Okay.
So at the moment, it's taking a lot of investment from the existing business.
And you spoke about how in the beginning it was, you were selling out 1,000 liters, then 2,000 liters, then 3,000 liters. At this point, you said it's been a year. Would you say your return on investment has been what you expected? A bit slower? Has it exceeded expectations?
The way the market has received the brand has definitely exceeded my expectations.
Okay. That must be a really good feeling.
Yeah, no, because we know that it's a highly saturated market. The beer business, I mean, someone who's in beer will tell you straight, you're a fool to go into the beer business. I mean, there's so many craft beers. If you look at the price, our pricing point is much higher than your typical brands, even higher than most of your craft beer brands, because they've had time to build scale, because beer is a volume game, scale and bring down costs. So we're still at that point where we don't have enough volume to bring down the cost.
Yeah.
That point is about 8,000 to 9,000 liters. And so like I told you, we're at about 3,000 now. But I think within the next year, we're going to easily jump to the 8,000 liter mark. That will assist us to bring down costs and obviously push up profitability.
Yeah. And you mentioned just now how you've always been interested in brewing beer. Yeah. So would you consider this your passion? Or, when you think about what you would do with the rest of your life, is there something else you have in mind? Or is this like you can see this something that's going to be long term?
The beer business definitely puts a smile on my face. Often when I'm dealing with the other business, it's, the stresses gets you, there's certain things. But when I think beer, it just lights me up, because it's something that's it challenges me in a way that I know there's a saturated market. I want to grow this. I want to be part of this, and the bigger brands are starting to recognize us now. So I do feel that growing the beer business is sort of the long term. I'm in it for the long haul, and I really see it growing in certain directions. So I'd say that the beer business is definitely my passion. Yeah.
Was that not something that ever made you hesitant to even start it? Is the fact that it is such a saturated market, or were you just thinking we're just going to do it better or do it in a different way, kind of thing, or what?
Yeah, look, I love the challenge, and a lot of competitors even told me and Gareth, are you guys crazy to go in the beer business? So I think the fact that it was a challenge actually just made us want to do it more. We're doing things different. We have different approaches to marketing, the way we're selling, the way we're doing. Our social media presence is it's growing, but we feel that's actually the way to go. A lot of guys are maybe not taking that route.
And I know it has only been a year so far, but in any business you're going to encounter challenges, right? So what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced so far, and how did you overcome those?
I think the biggest challenge was getting into the bigger retailers. The likes of Tops, or Spar Tops, Market Liquors, ShopRite. I mean, we're not in at ShopRite Checkers yet, because we're not at Pick and Pay, because there's quite a few hurdles that you need to, and also the big retailers also, they have terms, so cash flow is an issue. So if you, let's say, let's say they place an order for 10 or 20,000 rand, you're going to need to wait 30, 60 days for your cash to come in. So I think cash flow has been a major one of the challenges. But getting into these big retailers, because you'll find that they only list new products, like from, let's say, from September to December, or they have these little windows where they list new products. They don't continuously list new products. What I can say is that the brands that have taken us on, Diamond Liquors or Market Liquors, Spa, very, very helpful, wanting to engage in the smaller businesses, actually wanting to assist startups. We actually invited them over, done a tasting. So very, very welcoming and very approachable from their side to, and bringing us on board, assisting us. So yeah, that's actually been my biggest surprise. I had no idea that. So the initial struggle was to get onto these retailers, and when we approached them, they were just like very welcoming.
If you could go back in time, talking about challenges and hurdles in business, there's always like you get to crossroads sometimes where you might need to make a decision this way or that way. Is there anything you think where if you made a different decision, it might have put things further along, in a shorter amount of time? I guess the way you could put it is any regrets, but not that deep where it's a regret. It's more just thinking about a decision that could have been made differently in a sense.
I think one of my biggest regrets is not starting earlier. I think that if I'd started a year or two earlier, we would have potentially been in a better position. But it's just been one of those things, current business keeping you busy, So this was almost happening on a part-time basis. So when I met with my business partner, Gareth, who's responsible on the marketing end, we would first talk all, and then we would spend 10 or 15 minutes on beer. If we had spent 30 or 40 minutes on beer, we would have launched sooner and that kind of thing.
Got things running.
Unfortunately or fortunately, like I told you, the lockdown did present its challenges, but I think it also created, there was a vacuum. So when we launched, it was like we had a massive growth spurt. So you can never really say, but not launching early, I think is my, and spending more time on brand development, probably my biggest regret on the beer side.
Okay. Yeah. You spoke about how the other company, what is it called exactly?
Garden and Organics.
Garden and Organics has been feeding into Northern Bru. So you obviously have been a businessman for quite some time. It's not like this is your first business.
Yeah.
Have you ever sat back and felt like you've made it in a sense? We all have this idea, I think, of what it would feel like to sit back and be like, I've made it, or, I'm successful in my own eyes. Have you ever had that feeling?
I don't think so. If I look at what the measure of success is, and I realize it now more than ever, is family. And, I'm married now going for 4 years. So family, I think having a family, we have a baby on our way, and, that I think is the real measure of success. But on the business front, there are always challenges, and I'm what I consider a serial entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So as soon as when I get too comfortable and have, call it enough cash, then I look at new ways to make cash, or launching new business, researching.
Put yourself in out of your comfort zone.
Out of my comfort zone. I think that's one of my traits. I like always looking outward and seeing where I can improve. Is there something new I can do? You're always innovating and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So that I completely understand, is sitting back and feeling like you made it, or being successful is related to family, connections with people in our lives. Yeah. In a business sense, what would that look like for you to sit back and feel like you've made it? I know you said you kind of, get antsy, but do you think there'd ever be a time where you like, okay,
I do think
in business?
So. In business, I think I would want a passive income. So at the moment, if I'm not physically active, hands-on, that kind of thing, the business will, things can easily grind to a halt. I have managers and project managers and so on in place, but I still physically need to be there. And I think if I can find eventually a place where my business is running, we can do projections for, annual projections, and there's a constant flow of income, a stable income. And I can take a step back and not be as physically active in the business. I think that would be that would be a let's call it a comfortable place for me.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm still very hands-on. I need to be there.
Yeah.
So I think, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And at the moment, would you say you're happy?
Yes.
Yes?
Definitely, yeah. I love what I do. I was in corporate for 5 years before I started my business.
Garden and organics?
Before I started, Garden and Organics is 11 years old.
Okay.
So before that, I worked in corporate. I worked for a company called Accenture, traveled, stayed up in Pretoria, Johannesburg. But I've always been an entrepreneur. I sold, anything you could think of. I was always business orientated. But 5 years in corporate just made me realize that, listen, I don't want to get stuck in this in the office, and I need to get out.
It's not fun.
Yeah,
Definitely
no. So I'm very happy. No regrets in terms of starting my own business. Maybe the first 6 months, I ran out of cash within 6 months after resigning from my business. Almost went back, and then I landed a contract, and then slowly but surely built from there. So yeah.
Sure. I was going to ask, so because on one of our previous episodes, we had a guy who also spoke about how he just decided he doesn't want to work in a 9-to-5 or in a corporate anymore, and he wanted to start his own business. And so were those 6 months quite challenging and quite difficult?
Yeah, I literally ran out. I burned through money, ran out of cash, and then eventually started calling up my old managers and, hey guys, can you
take me back?
Can you take me back?
Okay.
But then we succeeded, and that was amazing.
Okay, so just in closing the podcast, what is one message you would want to give to a young entrepreneur? I guess you could call it a success nugget that they could take from this conversation and maybe hold on to. That's something you've maybe found very helpful and very practical in your experience as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm going to answer your question, but with a bit of a spin on it. I think the younger generation coming through, because I obviously advise a lot of young entrepreneurs on, because they have the passion and they're excited. But I think you really need to do research before you find out who else is doing it. Do your research, and don't assume that it's easy. I think you just need to go in and bear in mind that running a business is not easy. Expect challenges, ask for advice, do research. A lot of people approach me and say, listen, I have this idea. And I just go onto the internet and do that, just do a bit of research, and I see there's another company doing it, So, for me, it's simple. Do your research.
Do your market research.
Do your market research.
Know your stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and also approach other people that are in the similar business. People are quite open to give advice, and
as you said, just because there's competitors doesn't mean you mustn't do it. You must just be aware of them and how you can do it different, or do it better, or do it in a different way, right? But anyway, so just before we sign off, now's your chance to just give a bit of a shameless plug. Any Instagrams or websites. Where can people find you and your business to check out Northern Bru?
Look, you can check us out on Instagram. It's Northern Bru Brewing Company, and also on Facebook you'll find us.
Okay.
Yeah, and give our beer a try. Support local. We appreciate any support, any feedback. That's it from us.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Juandré. I appreciate the time.
Awesome.
It was great having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
What is up, you absolute weapons? Thank you for watching and listening to None of Your Business. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you want to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and all of those beautiful places, you can find the links in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time.
Like I'm in a big league.